When you want to make a selection more precise, you can take it into Photoshop's special Select and Mask workspace to refine your selection. This comes in handy when you have a selection of hair, or the fine leaves on a tree, or even something with a smooth edge. Let's give it a try. We'll start by making a selection. I'll go to the Select menu, and I'll use Select Subject. This looks like a pretty good selection, but if you look closely, you'll see that there are some bits of orange from the background showing through her hair. So let's take this into the Select and Mask workspace. Again, I'll go to the Select menu, and I'll choose Select and Mask. And that opens this separate workspace. You can see it's different than Photoshop. It has an abbreviated toolbar over on the left, and over on the right, a Properties panel with controls you can use to refine a selection. The first stop here is the View menu, where you can decide how you want to view the image in the center as you're refining its selection. This is the default onion skin view. There's the marching ants view, which you're familiar with. Here's Overlay view, which shows the selection in a translucent red overlay, as well as the image. Let's use this view, but we should change the overlay color from red to something different because red is too similar to the orange background of the original image. So I'll click the red color box and then drag this slider to another color, let's say green, and that will make it easier to see what is selected and what is not as we're working. So here you really can see those orange bits of the background showing through her hair. I'm going to scroll down to this edge detection area. In the section called Global Refinements, there are controls that you might use if you had a smooth edge selection. Say you had selected the moon and you wanted to make the edge smoother or have more contrast. Or if there were a fringe around your moon, then you could shift the edge to the left to minimize that fringe. But we're not going to use those controls. I just wanted to let you know they're there. Instead, I'm going to drag the radius slider over to the right. And keep your eye on the orange at the edges of her hair as I do this. A lot of it is gone already, and that's all we had to do. I'm also going to check Smart Radius to make sure that Photoshop doesn't remove something I don't want it to. Now, let's see what we can do with some of the tools over on the left. I see that there is a bit of her dress missing, or underneath the green area here. So I'm going to use the first tool, which is the Quick Selection tool, to bring that area back into the selection. This is the same Quick Selection tool you're familiar with from the main Photoshop interface. So with it set to Add to the Selection, I'll move down and just drag over that part of her dress. Now let's work on the orange bits in her hair. You can zoom in by selecting the Zoom tool and then clicking on her hair where you want to work on it. There's a really useful tool for refining the edge of a selection, and that's the second one in the toolbar. It's called the Refine Edge Brush tool. I'll select that, I'll move into the image, and I'm going to use a pretty small brush. If your brush is too big, you can go up here and change it, or use the bracket keys on your keyboard. I'm just going to drag over the parts of her hair where there is both orange and black. And notice how Photoshop removed those from the selection. So they now look green against our overlay. I'll let you continue to do that, working your way around the image. To move the image in the document window, if you want to see another part of it, press the spacebar and drag. If you want to see the whole image, go over to the toolbar and double-click the Hand tool. So I think that looks pretty good. Now let's output this image from the Select and Mask workspace back to Photoshop. You can choose how you want to output the image. We're going to output it as a selection. And then click OK. Now we're back in the main Photoshop interface with our selection that we refined in Select and Mask. Anything we do now will affect only the woman, not the background. Let's say we want to change the color of the background, then we'll want to invert this selection. I'll go to the Select menu and I'll choose Inverse. And then go down to the bottom of the Layers panel and click the circle icon
And we'll be talking more about
to bring up this menu of adjustment layers But for now, just go to the Properties choose Hue Saturation. And we'll be talking more about adjustment layers later in the course. But for now, just go to the Properties panel and drag the hue slider to a color that you like, replacing the original orange color of the image. And there's my final result, which we got by making a selection and taking it into the Select and Mask workspace to refine it.